Eunice Audrey Long was born on June 3, 1939 in Springfield, Massachusetts, the firstborn child of Hayden and Shirley Long. Her brother Danny was born 5 years later, followed by the birth of her brother Leonard 2 years after that. Her family lived in the second story of a rented house. Her father was a butcher and owned a small market, and her mother worked in the cafeteria of a local department store. Hayden was a hard-working, jolly man with a kind heart, known for giving extra to his less fortunate customers and keeping a credit tab for many families, knowing full well he might never get paid. In addition to being a butcher, he sold shoes wholesale and repaired old cars and bicycles for resale. Later in life, he worked at a local mall as a beloved Santa Claus, a role that fit him perfectly due to his size, white beard, and jolly laugh. Hayden was a prolific songwriter and loved music, a deeply compassionate man who won the Carnegie Medal of Honor for saving a man's life in a construction accident. Shirley was a hard-working food service worker and given to hospitality. She co-founded the local Meals on Wheels chapter in her city. From her earliest days, Mom learned the value of hard work, compassion, and caring for others from the example of her parents. Even as a child, she helped her working parents by looking after her younger siblings. She demonstrated resilience, braving cold winters and the snow she despised, which was solved by moving to California. She learned new skills like playing the accordion and assumed responsibilities beyond her years.
At 15, Mom met Stan Newton from Los Angeles, California, at the Christadelphian Bible School held at the Wilbraham Academy in Massachusetts. Stan and his friend Paul Wade decided to drive across the country for an adventure after graduating high school and to attend the Wilbraham Bible School. It was love at first sight for Mom, and while Stan was 5 years older, he was attracted by her beautiful smile, flashing eyes, and outgoing disposition. While Dad thought he might never see her again, Mom told her best friend Margie that she was going to marry that guy from California. Without definite plans, Stan and Paul took off towards Niagara Falls. During a chance meeting of an elderly Christadelphian couple at Niagara Falls, they received an invitation to stay the night. To Dad's surprise and dismay, there was a knock at the door, and there stood Mom's friend Margie, delivering a handwritten letter for Dad. Mom somehow found them, which would pique Dad's interest as he recognized Mom's industriousness in writing the letter and tracking him down. Little did Mom know he would indeed become the love of her life. From that point on, the two of them corresponded from August 1954 through the end of 1956. During these years, Mom's parents had two more children, her beloved sister Phyllis, born in February of 1955, and the following year, her youngest brother Kenny was born. In July of 1956, Hayden decided it was time to move things along and shipped Eunice out to California to stay with a cousin who lived in Anaheim to attend a new California Bible school held at Idlewild Pines. Dad had attended the first Idlewild Bible School the prior year and no doubt conveyed to Mom how much fun it was. For their first date, they went to a newly opened little amusement park called Disneyland. This became a special place for them. For years, Mom and Dad had Disneyland passes and would go on dates together there.
Mom returned home in August of 1956 and was baptized later that year at the Springfield, Massachusetts Ecclesia. They corresponded again for 16 months until Dad moved to Massachusetts in January of 1957. On his trip, Dad traveled by train from California to Massachusetts and arrived in a snowstorm. Since he was not used to the bitter cold of the East Coast, he soon got sick with mononucleosis. This was the beginning of Mom caring for Dad and serving him breakfast in bed, a loving act that continued throughout their marriage until she could no longer do it. Dad soon recovered and later took Mom to her high school prom. After Mom graduated from high school that June, Dad proposed. Mom quickly planned the wedding and set about designing and making her wedding dress with the help of her Aunt Pearl. They were married on August 3, 1957, in the chapel at the Wilbraham Academy, the very same campus where they had met 4 years earlier. Mom and Dad honeymooned for 3 days at Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, before driving all of Mom's belongings and their wedding gifts back to California, with Paul Wade, who had returned from a trip to England to be their best man at their wedding. Fortunately, a cousin of Paul's was also driving to California and allowed them to stuff her car with some of their belongings. The couple then lived with Dad's parents, Edward and Carol Newton, for the first year of their marriage while Dad attended Pasadena City College. Dad then transferred to UCLA, and the couple rented a small studio apartment in Culver City that allowed Dad to ride a moped to school since they had very little money. In December 1958, they welcomed their daughter Kathy, followed by Dad's graduation from UCLA in June 1960.
When Dad got his job at Southern Counties Gas Company, the couple moved to an upstairs apartment in Alhambra and then to a house on Walnut Grove Boulevard in Rosemead. Here the couple welcomed their son Edward in March of 1962. 2 years later, they purchased their first home on Bartlett Avenue in Rosemead for a whopping $18,600. Mom was a devoted homemaker, always ensuring the family gathered at the family table for a home-cooked meal and felt cared for. She greeted Dad with a smile and a kiss at the front door each evening he returned home from work. Dad would read the evening newspaper or play the piano while Mom prepared dinner. Together they created a home filled with music, laughter, and love. She was outgoing, had an infectious laugh, and a happy spirit that made every gathering brighter. Mom cherished family adventures and enjoyed many camping trips in the couple's truck and camper. They would regularly travel with the Wade, Collister, Somerville, Blackwell, Davis, and other Christadelphian families. This love for adventure grew wings when Dad started flying in 1969 and later purchased an airplane in 1971, which allowed them to explore even more new places.
In the fall of 1972, Mom and Dad signed a contract for construction of a new home in Huntington Beach, and they sold their house on Bartlett Avenue. Due to construction delays, the family moved to a rental on Garden Grove almost directly across from where I was born and Kathy started kindergarten. Mom drove Kathy and me to and from our new schools in Huntington Beach, so we wouldn't have to change schools. Mom used the time we were in school to meet all our neighbors before we eagerly moved in and slept on the floor of our new home in Halloween of 1973. In 1974, together with several other families, they helped form the Orange County Ecclesia, a community of believers who felt truly like family. Mom was a gracious host welcoming the Ecclesia, who met in their home every Sunday for many years. In 1975, Mom and Dad helped his aging parents move to a house a short distance from their home. As our grandfather's health declined and care became too challenging for Graham, the couple moved him into their home where Mom cared for him until his passing a short while thereafter. Not wanting Graham to live alone, the couple converted part of their house into a 2-room apartment and invited her to move into their home. She lived under Mom's care until her passing in 1986. The couple continued their adventures with trips to visit family in New England, attending various Bible schools, as well as travels to the Caribbean, West Indies, Bermuda, and Virgin Islands.
In November of 1987, the couple welcomed their first grandson, Christopher Atwood, who turned out to be as outgoing and talkative as his grandmother. Dad took an early retirement in 1990, and the couple enjoyed more adventures, including trips to Australia, Europe, and Hawaii, plus flying trips to the East Coast and north along the West Coast in Canada. In July of 1990, their first granddaughter, Sarah Newton, was born. She shares Mom's passion for hospitality along with a love for hairstyling, clothes, and shoes. A second grandson followed 6 months later in January of 1991, Eric Atwood. Sadly, Eric would not survive, dying of SIDS at the tender age of 6 weeks. Their third grandson, Sean Atwood, arrived the following year in August of 1992, full of natural athletic ability and his grandmother's energy. 2 years later, in April of 1994, Sean's partner in crime arrived with their second granddaughter, Rachel Newton, who, like her grandmother, is given to hospitality, creativity, and with her own joyful disposition, shares Mom's middle name. The youngest and third granddaughter, Kimberly Atwood, joined the family in July of 1997 and enjoyed many hours of watching Disney shows with her Nana and inherited her creativity and love of travel. As the grandchildren grew into adults, Mom and Dad loved spoiling and helping them any way they could. Grief struck the family again and affected Mom deeply when her beloved sister Phyllis succumbed to cancer in June of 2006. We were comforted by the presence of Phyllis's 2 children, Christopher Rawson and Caitlin Lopez, and thank them for joining us today. Tragedy happened 6 years later in 2012 when her youngest brother Kenny died in a motorcycle accident just before Thanksgiving.
The family continued to grow as grandchildren were married and great-grandchildren were born. Sarah married Ben Butel in March of 2011, followed quickly by Christopher's marriage to Kristen Labello in June. Their first great-grandchild, Audrey Butel, was born late that year and was named after Mom and Rachel. In November 2012, Mom fell and broke her shoulder when leaving for a trip to Texas to visit Sarah and Ben. Determined not to miss seeing her granddaughter and great-granddaughter, Mom stubbornly insisted on going on the planned trip. In May 2013, the couple welcomed their second and third great-grandchildren, Jordan Atwood and Bryson Butel, followed by their fourth, Noah Atwood, in September 2014, and their fifth, Emma Butel, in December of the same year. 2 years later, in 2016, their sixth great-grandchild, Toby Atwood, arrived. As Mom's mobility declined at some point, Dad took over and started making her breakfast in bed. She would often stop him and tell him, "Come here and give me a kiss," then say, "I love you," after she got her kiss and her hug.
Another joyous wedding added family in April of 2019 when Rachel married Joshua Sleeper. Mom's brother Danny preceded her in death during February of 2023. She is survived by her remaining brother Leonard Long. Their seventh great-grandchild, Mabel Sleeper, joined the family in June of 2024, whom Mom was blessed to see a couple of times before her passing. This past July, when Texas family visited to attend the Idlewild Bible School, Mom heard the happy news that another Sleeper baby would be joining the family, Lord willing, next year in March.
Together, Mom and Dad built a life filled with adventures, from moving across the country to raising a family, to extensive travels and welcoming friends and relatives into their home. Their partnership was a testament to love, support, generosity, and shared purpose. Mom lived her faith daily, caring for the elderly, mentoring young sisters in the faith, and hosting the Orange County Ecclesia and numerous Truth Corps teams in their family home. She welcomed visitors with open arms. Her generosity and hospitality were legendary, and she inspired those around her to serve and love more deeply. She loved crafts, especially with her grandchildren, and created lasting memories for all generations to cherish. Through all 86 years of life's joys and griefs, blessings, trials and challenges, she struggled with declining health, yet remained steadfast and loving.
Mom's legacy lives on in her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, each of whom has been touched by her example of faith, kindness, and unconditional love. We remember her not only for what she did, but for who she was: a loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, aunt, and friend. As we, like Mom would say, "See you later," let us carry forward her spirit of joy, compassion, service, and faith. May we honor her memory by loving one another as she loved us.